right, guys, welcome back to Debate the News. Wow, we've been having ourselves a little party here of sorts. So, uh, once again, we're going to keep this thing going. Marty Bird, we've been having a good time. We got, I think Positive was about to answer a question about, uh, I guess, Iran, and I think who was that? Henry asked the question. You guys want to jump back into that? Is it
Positive. You still there, champ?
is Henry here? Is
I
Positive
believe.
here? All right, guys. While we waiting for them to jump in, Marty, give me a second. I want to get back to the other device.
Yeah, for sure. I think positive's still here. Uh, uh, positive. Make sure if you can hear me, jump back in. But nah, man. Right now, I'm watching. I'm actually watching a bunch of videos of this Iran, excuse me, Iran Israel war, and it's kind of crazy right now. But based off of what we're getting, the Iranian people are actually looking forward to this and are wanting this right now. So, I mean, I don't know, man. I'm not too well versed on it, but at the same time, it is fucking crazy. It is fucking crazy if you ask me in 2025 watching war go down the way it is right now, especially between these two countries. In the U.S., I do believe the U.S. is posturing itself for something. I can't pin my finger on exactly what it is yet, but I do think the U.S. does have a long game planned in this right now. What's happening in this very moment,
Hey,
outside of obviously making sure Iran doesn't have their nuclear capabilities.
yeah. Tara, what are your thoughts on this? What's going on with Iran right now, and what's going on with Iran and Israel? What are your thoughts? Because it seems like Iran is breaking through the Iron Dome,
That's like a
and
booster level.
they're landing some
It's one
shots.
of
They're
the
landing
biggest
some
dirty
shots.
Completely
dinosaur
breaking
rings.
through.
Well, they're landing some shots, but they're not landing,
Oh.
as many as I think they might have thought. Look, my view of this is as the longer it goes on, the worse it is for everybody in many ways, right? I don't see, I mean, how do I say this? If you could get rid of Iran's nuclear capability really quickly or whatever, I think we would all be safer. But I'm not sure that is actually doable. And I don't really understand what the United States is doing in the middle of all this. It's, you know, who's talking? I'm sorry. Why am I? What do you, Marty? You hear what I'm hearing?
Yo, JB, that's coming from your side.
Okay.
Is that the CH side, or I think
I don't
that's
know.
like
But
that's coming
but
from
anyway,
JB's?
I
Okay.
just sort of feel like I don't understand our position exactly. It seems like we might be helping them shoot down rockets, but we're not all in. We're not going to do that. So the problem is, one really bad strike by Iran on Israel will, I don't know what it'll lead to. So I can't, I'm really confused about this, I guess, Jonathan. Once again,
That
if we
bad
could just get
strike.
rid of,
That
I mean, Marty, if we could just get rid of their nuclear capability, that's great, right? But I don't know if it's that simple, and if it takes a long time, and if there's lots of, Israel's a pretty small country. It only takes a couple of real hits to really impact it, and that's what I'm, the Iron
kind of
Dome
concerned
is
about
not
right
too
now,
bad.
right?
You know what I mean? It's yeah.
Yeah, no, for sure, and that's kind of what I was going to allude to as well. But yeah, I don't think too many strikes in the right places, and there's almost nothing left.
You,
All
you know,
right,
it,
so go ahead,
yeah,
JB.
Israel's very small, like Tara said, and I think Iran has I don't know how many missiles they have. If they got like 60,000 missiles, and they're firing 1,200 at a time, and if they're getting, if 200 are hitting or 100 hitting, whatever, then Israel, believe it or not, they are definitely, I should have said, they're going to be hurt. And once again, if they hit the wrong thing, Israel's going to have to up the ante. Right? If one of those missiles hit the wrong thing, Israel definitely is going to up the ante. I think this thing is only going to escalate. And to be honest with you, Tara, I know you may not like this. but I hope it escalates because I think that if it should escalate, it will provide us with, how should I put this? It will provide, I think, security because of the fact that we will go in if we have to, or Israel will go in and make sure that Iran doesn't have a nuclear program or weapon, and the people of Iran hopefully will stand up, rise up, and go and take their country back. They've been waiting for a long time.
That's what
Uh,
I'm wondering. Have we heard from people on the ground there about what's going on, and are they, rising up against the government?
well, we have Ashton that says that's exactly what they're doing. Uh,
Ashton from
that-
Texas?
no,
Ashton?
Ashton from
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, got it.
you said Ashton.
Oh, wow.
Say, I was
Laughter
going to
pact.
say, well, I love
Yeah.
Ashton, but I don't know
Hey.
how she'd know what the heck is going on there.
Yo, Siri was like, yo, Ashton from
Ashton's in
Texas. The
Texas.
fuck she gonna tell me about Iran?
Not like that.
Oh
Yeah,
shit.
yeah, yeah. I was like, huh? Ashton. She's an Ashton. Ashton for Texas. No, Ashton. No, he's been very vocal, very passionate, and he said that's exactly what the people are doing. That they're rising up. That they're rising up, and they're really taking. Yeah, they're really fighting. They're fighting for their country, and that's what we want. I mean, that's what you definitely want. You definitely want to see that, and hopefully they use this as a catalyst, to a springboard to actually go out there and break the IRGC hold on the country. You know, Donald Trump, Tara, I don't know if you read that, allegedly vetoed an assassination on the supreme leader. Did you read
Yeah, I
it?
read that. I don't know what, I'm not sure what to believe about, he didn't know about it. He knew all about, I mean, anyone who thinks that, America did not know about this is crazy, right? Of course we were informed. Of course we would have, if we had said no, they probably wouldn't have done it. But we don't want our fingerprints on it at this point because Donald Trump has said we're not getting involved in a war. So I think that's where we are. But, I mean, what you're suggesting, Jonathan, is America might come in. I don't know that America wants that. I don't know how they feel about that.
Once again, I don't think America wants to go in. I think we're going to try support from behind the scenes in terms of helping
From the
provide.
shadows for sure.
Yeah, yeah, but I think the one thing that you know they're
We
going to
know we
let.
got we got that drone guy, in the parade. So we know we got at least one drone, right? Sorry.
Guys, let me just say this right. Drones are dangerous. I told Nelson that a long time ago. Him and I got into it about it. These drones, it's just that's what they're fighting this with drones. Drones took out the whole top half of the IRGC. Israel went in there and just wiped them out. I mean, I wouldn't be comfortable taking a leadership position right now. And the fact that they had the supreme leader uh, Khomeini in their sights, and it took Trump's saying no, don't do it. If I was Khomeini, I just I would not sleep comfortably. I wouldn't because everyone that they wanted, they got. Everyone that they wanted, they got. So 100%, just wouldn't be. I wouldn't sleep comfortably at all. Not at all. So in terms of yeah, Tara. So once again, Tara. Also, they captured the gentleman. I should say the person responsible for the shootings.
Yeah, they
Um,
captured Vance Bolter.
yeah, Vance Bolter. Um, and he was captured in the wooded area in Minnesota. And Tara, the right was putting out a lot of misinformation, saying, "Oh, he had no King's flyers," which is not true, and that was never proven out. What he did have was a manifesto, and he did have a list of people, that he wanted to kill all Democrats, including Tim Walz, and there's like, oh, Tim Walz appointed him, which is true, but Tim Walz didn't. Like that was a like a date appoint, like I don't know, 80, 90 people, and he was appointed previously. And Tim Walz never knew the guy. It's one of those things where he didn't directly appoint him, you know. But they're making it seem as if, oh, this is Tim Walz's guy, you know. But this guy, he's a Trump supporter. He voted for Trump. He's a Christian minister and anti-abortion. I mean, his all the stuff that he followed on Facebook on it before they took it down was basically, anti-abortion. He's very conservative. His roommate said that he left a message saying that you know he may be gone for a while and he may be dead. And he called the police, and this guy went out and he shot and killed two Democrats. First of all, he shot and killed. She was the Speaker of the House, Hoffman. Was it Hoffman? No, it was Hoffman was the one that didn't die, right?
Melissa, oh God, what's her last
Um,
name?
well, he shot and killed her, and when he shot and killed her and her husband, and he went and that was she's a representative, and then he went and shot a state senator, and his wife, and him and his wife survived.
Actually, he
But
shot them first. And the reason why the police found him at the speaker's house was because they started to call around to all these, to all the other representatives, and that's when they found him at the what's her last name, Melissa, the one who died, unfortunately.
mhm.
They found him there because they were after they had realized that the Hoffmans had been shot. They went around to other state representatives to see if they were safe.
Melissa Hortman is the name.
Okay. Yes. So that's the name. So yeah, and so wait. So once they realized that they were shot,
Oh,
they
look, the Hoffmans were shot first. And I guess they must have called the police or something. And that's when the police went to the other woman's house where they called around or they were doing checks on the rest of the representatives because they were worried about this.
so wait. Did all once again, guys? I'm very busy. How did I understood he's dressed up as a police officer, but how did they manage to survive?
I have no idea. He shot them 7, 8 times each. I don't know.
What?
Yeah, no, 7, 8 times
Yeah, they were
each.
both shot
Yeah,
multiple times,
yeah.
but in regards to how they survived, I mean,
Both
it's the
survived.
same
He
way
must
some.
not be a
Yeah,
great
bro.
shot,
So,
or else he was shooting through the door or something. I
well,
don't know.
no, Tira. I mean, the thing is, sometimes that's just one of the. What I was going to say was they were just one of those people that has one of those miracle stories where you hear people who were shot multiple times in some of the craziest places and they survive. I have a friend who was shot twice in the back of the head, square, literally in that center back of the head twice and survived. He's definitely has some issues today, but he survived. So yeah, they just honestly were blessed. That's the easiest way I could break it down for you. They were just blessed because
And the
there's no way
senator's
they should have, but yeah, they survived.
and the senator's wife actually fell on the daughter to protect the daughter.
Mm-hmm.
That is crazy. Crazy, crazy, crazy. I cannot believe that. I cannot
What
believe
JP,
that.
you mentioned the manifesto earlier. I did see where they brought up the list of names. I couldn't find the manifesto because I was do we have what it said? Do we have what the message
They're not
was? Was there a
released. No,
message?
I mean they've
That
actually given a lot of information. What they said was there's no actual manifesto in the sense that he didn't write, 20 pages about how I'm going to do this, do this, do this. He had a list of names and then he had something like a notebook where he wrote various thoughts over a period of time. But what they're saying
Like a
is that
journal, like a diary or
right,
something like that.
that's what it seems
Okay,
like. They're
okay.
not releasing that. I understand people get upset about them, but they're not releasing that at this point. But they said it's not the sort of manifesto that has, that we know about from other shooters, let's just say. But, I wanted to address something that Jonathan said. There's still, the MAGA people on X are still sort of saying, oh, he's a Democrat, he's a left-wing liberal. I mean, I don't, you know, I don't understand. First of all, people jump to conclusions in 1 second, which is crazy. I'm not gonna look. I don't know. it seems that he was a Trump supporter. I don't think he was a registered Republican because you can't register on a part. You don't register as a party member in Minnesota. He obviously has some very strongly held Christian beliefs. There are videos of him speaking in the Congo, jumping up and down about Christ, etc. And he was clearly anti-abortion, and everyone on his list was well, the people that we've been told about on the list were all Democrats. That's what we know. It also seems that he lied a lot about his businesses and things like that. Because he said he was in charge, he owned the security business, but there's no evidence he had any clients. He says he ran these other organizations, but he was actually in food services and looking for a job. So at the end of the day, I think we still have to learn a lot about him, and I'm not going to blame anybody, for what he did except for him right now. And I think we should all be really careful about jumping to all these conclusions about people, and it was this and this and this.
Yeah, yeah, I just think that believe it or not, um, the people on X, the conservatives, I should say, what they did was they went out there and they told everyone that it was liberal and it was liberal violence and the liberals can't control themselves. And Tim Waltz actually appointed this guy, and and that this guy, it's crazy. He had no Kings flyers in his car, all this stuff they said, and then now tonight, when we're talking about this, they're saying it's like that's not what happened. They're like, oh, it changed up now, huh? No, you see what I'm saying? You see how they changed up? Like, what are you talking about? That was
And now
never
it's
the
a
facts.
conspiracy theory.
Yeah.
Now, we're trying to hide. Look, the Workforce Development Board, which Tim Waltz reappointed him to, has 60 or so members. It is required by law to have Republicans and Democrats or people from different viewpoints on it. I'm sure Waltz just reappointed this guy thinking, okay, he'd been appointed in 2013. Let me just throw him back on again. Nobody complained about him, etc. There's no evidence that he knew him or vetted him, or the guy didn't make any money off this. It's like this
It was a
advisory.
volunteer thing.
It's a volunteer position. So this idea that he was a friend of Waltz is a little crazy. But yeah, I mean, they're still on X now trying to come up with reasons why he's still, he's still a liberal Democrat. Clearly he's not that.
No, clearly he's not. And so he's a Trump voter. He voted for Trump. And so,
I
it's
mean, but you know what though? Like,
okay.
even if he did, right? Because I
Okay.
think that no, no, no. And this is why I say that. I think that it's that whole conversation because I do hear it today. Like, it's sometimes like, oh, of course he was a liberal, that's why he committed these crimes, or oh, he was a conservative, that's why he did this. Like, because guess what? Sometimes the liberals will think, oh, they were a conservative and they were a liberal, and vice versa. The conservatives will think, oh, it was a liberal and it turns out they were conservative. I think that people are gonna do shit regardless, right? They're gonna do it whether they support your party or not. So I think the whole wasting time deliberating on whether they were a liberal or a conservative, whether it's being done by the conservatives or the liberal. Personally, I just think it becomes a waste of time sometimes. It's like just that one time where you're wanting to say, "Oh, I bet you it was a conservative." Turns out it was a liberal, and I bet you it was a liberal, and it turns out a conservative. Now it's like, fuck, got caught with my foot in my mouth. So that's what I'm saying. Sometimes I just think it's kind of dumb, and we've almost gotten to that. Not even almost gotten to that. We live in that world today. You see some shit happening, you're waiting. Oh, I bet you it was a conservative. Oh, there go those liberals again. You know what I'm saying? It's like, what the fuck? You could vote for the left and not be, excuse me, on the side of whatever the fuck just happened. You could have voted for the right. You could have voted for Trump, but not be in agreement with whatever the bullshit that is that just happened. So I just think that it's pushing us to a place where it's even becoming more divided. It's like, what side are you on? Are you a liberal or are you conservative? And someone will be like, I'm a liberal talking to a conservative, and they'll immediately shun them. But then after they actually have conversations and open up and speak, it's like, well, you know what? Maybe you're not so much a liberal. And it's like, so I just think that that conversation, it'll take you to places where you end up with your foot in your mouth sometimes. So that's just my thought on that.
I'm really glad you said that 100% because if we look back onto when Trump got shot, man, people wanted to throw labels on whose party was this or that or here or there or who did all those things. Bottom line answer we all need to agree with is it's wrong. It shouldn't happen. Who cares what party it is? Stop it. If we truly want to bring everything together, let's stop actually feeding it, like you're saying, Marty, by trying to say, oh, it's because of this. It's not helping anything.
Exactly, because then you almost paint everybody with the brushstroke saying, "Oh, because they were a conservative, you support that. Oh, because they were conservative. Oh, the shooter was a conservative, or they voted for Trump." You know, it just you cause more division while talking about why is there a division or what's causing the division. Not realize that's part of it. Go ahead, JB.
No, listen to me, Marty. I get what you guys are saying. You guys are right. Okay, you guys are correct in what you're saying. You know, but it's more the conservatives, and I know it sounds crazy. Like right now, when that happened, we're like everyone's waiting to find out what's going on, but everyone really had to, believe it or not, had to respond to the conservatives saying that well, not the conservatives, some conservative influencers saying that it was the liberals that did this, and now you have to respond like, no, no, it's not. No, it wasn't them. No, it's not them. So that's what I'm saying. It's one of those things right there. So 100%,
See,
100%.
that's where
Just have that same energy when it's the other way around. That's all. Because
No, and
you're
I think
wrong.
I think it's a change. I think it's almost it has
Conservatives
to be a
usually
change
don't.
because even the way JB just explained it, right? Because he was like, it was the conservative, but then it was like, no, it was the conservative influencers. And I think it almost has to become a strip of the conservative or a strip of the liberal because once you paint them and say, oh, it was those influencers, it was those liberal influencers, the ones that are causing interest, you paint the who you considering to be liberals as almost a part of them because you're saying it was those liberal influencers or it was those conservative influencers. And so all the way around, I know we've been using the terminology for so long, but just as you were speaking, it just came to my mind that I'm like, we're kind of shooting ourselves in the foot, whichever side you're on, every time you use it and every time we speak on it like that, because when it comes back around, you realize, oh shit, damn, they were on my side and they did that effed up shit, but I was sitting here, you know what I'm saying? So I just think it's one of those we've kind of fallen into of the last recent years whenever this liberal conservative terminology became such a big thing where it's like, are you lib or are you conservative? Are
Marty,
you
let
on the
me ask
left or
you
are you on the
something.
right?
But let me ask you
Please.
something. So let's say, because it is true that a whole bunch of influencers on X are still posting that he's a liberal, right? They're still doing it. I mean, it doesn't really matter. What do you do about that? Do you just leave it out there because it is sort of wrong? I mean, what do you do?
You almost you don't I'm not you almost can't do anything, right? Because right now, not just X, but any social media platform you log on to, you can go into any deep hole on either side. You can go deep into the side where there's still people arguing about shit on the left that have been proven to be wrong or right, and vice versa over on the right. Those people, when you give them light and give them the conservative or liberal tag, you're basically saying this is what all the liberals are saying. This is what all the conservatives are saying. So to those people online, like on X and vice versa, it's almost like it's just people. I could say it's people online saying shit, right? Don't get me wrong. I've said, yeah, it's the liberals or it's the conservatives or whatever, right? But just in this conversation, I'm realizing we're doing it to ourselves. You know what I'm saying? So those people online is almost like it's just those people online posting shit. I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, it's these dumbass liberals posting shit, but you can easily acknowledge that, okay, these videos that I'm seeing, it's algorithm towards the left. These videos I'm seeing, it's algorithm towards the right. Because that's just how it is now. That's just what it is. But when you give them the tag of liberal or conservative, then you push the narrative of these are all MAGA, these are all liberal because of what they're doing. And that's all I'm saying.
So I want to go a little deeper than that. The other part of this is, do you guys realize that 50% of the activity on these social platforms nowadays, they're bots? It's not even real human beings that are actively trying to move the needle. And I'm not going to say which way it's going, but there are bots that are trying to change the perspective to slowly alleviate the pain of certain subjects, and it's not real people you're arguing with. So my excuse me, my answer to it would be, when you see that kind of stuff, do you want to fight with a bot? What's the point?
I agree.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
they're bots. Yeah, they are. They're most of them are bots, and that's why getting caught up in the language is so dangerous because we fight online every day on that very issue. Conservative or liberal, conservative, liberal, conservative, liberal, conservative, liberal, not realizing that the bots now have cured, the AI bots now, they've basically realized, okay, bet this is what triggers you. So this is what we're going to push. This is the things we're going to, yeah, you're absolutely correct. Most of them are bots. And that's why, like I said, it just happened in this conversation. I think JB, because it just made me realize, like, fuck, we're really shooting ourselves in the foot every time you are ready to say, oh, I bet you it was those conservatives that did that, because hey, one day it's probably going to be the liberals. Or if you look back in time on some of the crazy shit that happened, it could have been a conservative that did it, or it could have been a liberal who did it. But why paint them a political party versus just they're just a person who did some bullshit? Now I understand if they said, hey, I'm doing this for Trump and I'm doing this for Biden, or that's different. But somebody who just goes out and does some shit, who gives a shit who they voted for or whose flag they were flying? They were just a person living in this country.
Real stuff. So I mean, Tara, um, obviously it's going to come out that this person is Republican. All right, I mean, a conservative, and the reason I keep mentioning that is because the conservative influencers made such a big deal about this, a huge deal about this, a huge deal. So I just want to. So with that being said, I mean,
Just to what I
right.
sometimes do, and I did do it on this one, is initially when one of the larger accounts on X, who is a real person who I've met, said this was a left wing activist. All that I said is, where do you get that information from? Can you provide any proof of that? Because I think that's probably not a bad way to handle it. In other words, tell us where you're getting your sources from. And there's inevitably no answer, but at least I raise that when people make claims that are clearly just, I don't know, based on nothing. Maybe that's too much, but I like to sort of do that sometimes.
So okay, but once again, they don't provide you anything when you ask that.
Oh, but at least what I'm saying is then it makes it clear that when they don't answer, that they don't have anything. You see a lot of people just they're making up stuff, or they're getting it from another account, which is getting it from another account, which is getting it from, and that's really how it happens mainly. One person posts it, then 28 million people immediately post it. So I do like to sort of question people, at least people that I've interacted with, and know where you're getting this from. Give me your backup, give me any proof about it.
Wow. Well, but
Even trying to do a deep dive into this guy, I was just trying to see if there's anything. I don't see anything yet that's like painting him to one side or the other, unless if I'm just completely missing it.
His
Uh, um,
roommate, his roommate said
no,
that he was a
I
Trump
know.
supporter, so that,
No,
and
I was just
also,
looking online to see if he had, maybe his social medias and all
uh,
those certain type of
no, he
things, or if
just
there was anything
there's one
obvious.
or two really weird like videos of him speaking in the
Yeah.
Congo, which do make him seem odd, if nothing else. Right, and like I said, his roommate said that, and he seemed to, and the police have said the list included, anti-abortion providers and people like that, and also the roommate then said he was always against abortion, but he doesn't talk about it a lot or anything.
He
Let's
has.
be fair. If anybody saw that roommate was not like some superstar himself. Like, he's sitting there talking to the media, and he's like breaking up and still sweeping his porch at the same time. Like, he's so heartbroken, but he's got to sweep that freaking porch. I mean, come on now.
Well, then
He's
then
on.
there's the question of why he has a roommate at all if he's married with 5 kids and lives in a house in an hour away. But yeah, there is that.
He's on
Uh,
LinkedIn.
Mary, does the fact that he's a registered Republican, does that help you in any way?
Not a red. You
No,
cannot
no, it
register by
wasn't.
party in Minnesota, Sir Jude. That's
It
just
wasn't
wrong.
that. When I said what
I
I said just recently, I was saying
Here.
I was
Where do you?
combing online. Real quick, I'm gonna pass it right to you, ma'am. I was saying I was combing online to see if there was anything, because usually they'll post that they posted online, anything that stands out. I was just trying to see if just trying to take a deep dive onto who this guy was and whatnot. Like I said, it doesn't matter who he voted for to me right now. That's not my concern. But go ahead, Miss,
I
please.
just wanted to ask here where she got that information that people didn't register by party.
Go look at the Minnesota law. It's been that way for forever. It's not recent. You do not register by party. There are open primaries. You don't register by party. That doesn't mean you don't vote by party. You do ask for certain ballots, eventually, but they don't keep. It's not like you can register as a Republican.
Yeah,
I
but
read somewhere. I read somewhere that he's a registered Republican. Does that mean? Could that mean nationally? I don't know.
Oh, I
But
mean,
he
no.
voted for Trump.
Nationally.
You mean he registered nationally as a Republican, but not in Minnesota as a Republican? No, I
I'm
don't
I'm
think it
I'm
works like
I'm
that.
I'm just asking his affiliation, where they got the
I
notion
don't,
that he's a
I
registered
think because they
Republican.
were told he voted for Trump, they made an assumption. I mean, I really don't know where they got that. I haven't found any actual backup, but I know it was said by like CBS or somebody, who normally might be somewhat legitimate, but I don't, it's not
So
true.
I just read it real quick, and yeah, you're right. No, in Minnesota, Minnesota does not have a political party registration, so voters do not declare a party when they register to vote in the state. Instead, Minnesota has an open primary system. This means that when you go to vote in a primary election, you can choose which party's primary ballot you want to participate in. You can only vote for candidates in one political party. But yeah, so you can't register to be anything in Minnesota. It's just
Could
they kind of go
technically,
off
I
of.
think, become a member of the Republican Party. There's a way to do that, but I don't think those lists, I'm not aware that, that's where they
I don't
got
think
the
it's the
list.
same.
It's not
Yeah, I
the
don't think
same,
that
but
would be
that's
the
what I'm trying
same
to
though.
say.
Yeah,
I don't think, they were talking about registered Republican for voting purposes, and no, that's not the case.
yeah. No, you can't register in Minnesota, so that would be
I heard it.
incorrect, Sir Jude. Sorry.
I heard it was because he registered for a Burger King's membership reward card, and on that, he actually selected Republican to be king.
On the Burger King.
We do know that Republicans want to be king, so that's
Hilarious, hilarious.
But
Nah.
in the end, he was afraid to kill himself. Okay, in the end, he was afraid to kill himself. They tracked him down
So
in
he's not a
the
Republican.
they tracked him down in the rural area. So and then he was afraid to take his own life, but he wasn't afraid to take others. So there you have that. That's what I was saying about this gentleman.
Nah,
It's
man.
really.
Please go ahead.
Oh, yeah. It's really ironic because Melissa Hortman had just made a very tough vote and sided with Republicans in order to get the budget done, and she sided with the Republicans on the vote to sunset health care for undocumented immigrants. Really tough vote, and she's kind of breaking up on camera about it when she commented to the press. So it's just kind of ironic where something where she was known as crossing the aisle and trying to bring consensus, and she was a very big vote, and so yeah, it's just the irony of it.
I'm glad you brought that up. A lot of people online were saying it's almost
I
like
like
she
to
knew
address
something
that.
was coming.
No, let me
Yeah,
address
please go
that
ahead.
because she did vote. But guys, you gotta realize something. Okay, I think she was the speaker of the what you call it, the Minnesota House. Okay, and she was known as their team leader, their team captain. Okay, now. what happened there is so oftentimes, and this is what I read, and Terry can correct me if I'm wrong. People have they want to get something through. They know they something have to get through, but they don't. People don't want to support it. So what she did was she voted. Okay, she passed that. She went over and voted. Okay, to pass it. Okay, to pass that. So that I think it was about health care for I guess aliens or something like that. So that
Undocumented.
huh, I believe that's what it was. So, yeah, so I think people are making a big deal out of that, and it's one of those things where she strategically voted with them, okay, to get that bill passed, because sometimes, but because they understood the importance of it for whatever
It
reason.
was the budget bill.
It was a budget.
Otherwise,
Yeah, but it was,
yeah, government would have
yep,
come to a halt. Yeah.
exactly. So she strategically voted with them, and because she was the speaker, so that's what happened there, and it
Remember in the
changed that.
beginning, they were also saying that Hoffman also voted, for that bill, but he didn't. So that was another sort of misinformation that was out there because they were trying to say, oh, the person, was a liberal Democrat who was against these two people because they voted for this bill, right? But the Miss Senator Hoffman, State Senator Hoffman, who has survived, did not vote for the bill. So that sort of fell apart too. Marty, you
That's
look
So
terrible
confused.
misinformation that's being spread because that's
Yeah, well, yeah. Marty's
Yeah.
looking sort
Well,
of confused.
yeah.
No, I'm actually
So
no.
that's
I'm watching what you guys are talking about. I'm just looking up stuff right now. You're good.
yeah. Well, look it up, Marty. Yeah, she voted. She absolutely voted with that, but she didn't vote for it because she voted with it because she understood that it had to pass. Okay, so look that up. Um, and so it is what it is. And so I just want to put that out there because that's the fact. So people are like, oh, she voted, and that's why she was killed by the left. They killed their own, And I'm just shaking my
hold
head.
on. Like that, just this one part of it, you can twist it two different ways so easily. One could argue that since she voted for it, why it couldn't have been a conservative because she voted in that favor if we're trying to directly tie the vote to the act that happened. So again, the challenge is we can twist things whichever way you want. Stop it. Who cares? The person did a horrible thing for the wrong reason. They killed somebody. Stop doing the political party stuff. You can twist it any way you want.
We agree with you. We agree with you. See, it's not us that's doing that. It's the right that's doing it. The right is the one that's going out there saying this. We're saying that's what we're speaking about, right there. We're speaking about. No one on the people on the left didn't go
Nah,
out.
bro.
No, wait, one second, one second. The people on the left didn't go out, didn't get a chance. I'm quite certain they will. Okay, but they didn't get a chance because the people on the right immediately started saying that it was liberals killing one of their own. Immediately, okay, and so they put a lot of misinformation out, and now they're dealing with the misinformation by saying that, oh wow, why are we, why are we, what you call it, like they're dealing like, well, why are you guys changing it up now? Oh, now it changes. No, it never changed. You guys made that stuff up. It was never factual. You guys just said it. Just because you guys said it was factual didn't mean it was factual. Alan,
Is CNN left or right?
CNN is left.
Then why did I hear it on CNN?
What's that?
Everything you're talking about. So again, it can all be twisted. And surprise, surprise, I probably lean more right more than anything else. I don't actually claim to be just full right. Everything I heard, like everybody
Oh,
mentioned,
you do?
hold on one second. Everything I heard earlier about the whole King's Day stuff, I purposely listen to multiple different news channels all the time because I think they're all bullshit. I truly do. And I like the King's Day stuff, I heard all of it on CNN and no, CNN first, more than anything else right away. So, and I think it's because they immediately tried to tie this act to the day that happened. I don't think it had political ramifications. Well, maybe it did because of news, but both sides were immediately saying that.
Marty, what is your research showing
Man, look, I'm just deep diving into this young lady here who was killed, into the bill that she was signed, that she voted on, and everything. Honestly, I'm just trying to find motive. I'm just trying to understand, like,
motive?
why her?
Not
Go
why
for it.
her. She motive. There's a whole list of people. It was a
No,
whole
no,
list
no.
of
I
people.
know, no, I know. There's a list, and that's what I'm saying. I'm trying to. That's why I was asking about the other people. I'm digging into them because I'm trying to understand the motive, right? I'm trying to understand why. What is this? What is the reasoning? Because even the list, do we have the full list? Because
I,
that's the other thing I was looking up here. I
I
haven't been
mean, we
able to
could,
find.
Marty, we can. I mean, none of us know the motives yet until it comes out. But I mean, so it's just just kind of
No, for sure,
making
for sure. But
guesses.
do we
But
have
yeah,
real quick
yeah.
before you go? Do we have the list? JB, is the list
No, they
But
out?
did
some
not
of the
give the list.
wait,
They
Marty, I'm still
mentioned.
talking. Some of
I'm
the
sorry.
things on the list, are, Planned Parenthood. Um, he was very much anti-abortion, and Portman was one of the people instrumental in codifying abortion into Minnesota state law. So, you know, there's a linkage there. There were other abortion rights groups on his list.
I'd like to
And
respond to
he's,
Spartacus for a second, if I can. In terms of CNN, what they put out was correct. There were no King's flyers found in his truck. The Minnesota State Police showed that. Now, the question becomes, how do you interpret that? It could be he was planning on infiltrating one of the rallies and shooting people. Could be he was collecting them because he didn't want people to give them out. I don't know. There's no way to actually interpret that, and that's the problem. What happened then was right wing people said, aha, he's a liberal. He was going to these rallies with all these flyers. We don't know why he had the flyers. He could have just picked them up because he didn't want other people to get them. I can't answer this. No, I'm saying I have no clue as to why he had them or how many he had, but he did have them. So that was reported. The stuff about her voting against might have been reported, but it was the emphasis that was placed on it, right? In other words, the right wing influencer crowd on X certainly immediately went to aha. Waltz appointed him. He had these flyers. She voted against against health care for illegals. And so he must have been a left wing person really pissed at her. They didn't look at all the facts. They didn't look at the fact that Mr. Hoffman, who was also shot, had voted for health care. In other words, but I don't think CNN put those things together and said left wing activists. And I was watching CNN. They never said that. This was people who had an agenda and still do, because right now the agenda is, well, why aren't they giving us the manifesto? This doesn't make a lot of sense. Somebody's hiding something. This is now we're getting into the conspiracy stuff, right? They must be hiding something. He's really still a left wing liberal. And so I agree with Jonathan. I mean, I think this was taken, I don't think CNN made the claims. I think CNN put out some information, and that information was used to, basically label this person as X, right? And we this happens all the time. It does happen all the time, but I don't think it was a CNN issue myself.
I would agree. Just using it as an example. Again, I'm a firm believer that both sides, they all lie to us all the time and they all spin different ways, which is why I think it's so important that you try to grab your sources and do your own research every single time as much as possible, just instead of just listening to one single place. And I was trying to say in the chat that I don't pay attention to X, but of course I put I do, which whoops. I don't pay attention to X stuff. I've just never believed in wasting time arguing with people about stuff and getting mad. Like when people get mad at you on a social app, who cares? It's just not worth it. Like it doesn't have any bearing in life.
Now that right there, I agree with you, brother, man. Somebody get mad at you on here, it don't have any real bearing. But excuse me, JB, you still there, brother?
Yes,
But
I am.
Tira, that's I want. Oh, perfect, perfect. But we still record, still live on the air right now.
Yeah, we're still live.
Okay. I hit you on the back end, but Tara, there was damn it, there was something you said I wanted to ask you about. It went away from me. I'm gonna have to come back to it. Damn it, went away from me. It was about the Iran Israel war, but I'll go on mute because I'm trying to remember that. It'll come back to me.
Um, so I want to go back and I want to ask the any one of you guys that think that this this guy he's trying to kill only Democrats. He shot a senator and his wife, and he killed a representative and her husband. And the list had abortion. It had stuff with abortion and it had other Democratic politicians. I'm trying to figure out, and once again, it's not. It was a horrible crime, and only because we now have to deal with the fact that a lot of people on the right has said that it was he's on the left. This guy was a Christian minister, and he voted for Donald Trump. And I understand that his roommate doesn't, whatever. But right now, if I was a betting man, and I am, I would actually bet that this guy. I would bet the house and the mortgage, the car payment, hell, the child support, the spousal support, you know, and the
How
side
about your
piece of money.
$1,600 from tonight?
You bet what?
Jonathan's just trying to get more money now, people. Just ignore it.
The spousal
That's where I was
support.
going.
The spousal support. I mean, the side piece money and everything that he's a conservative. Oh, I already have a bet with Patriot Rob. Patriot Rob already bet me
That he's a
$250.
conservative.
Yeah, Patriot Rob said he's not a conservative; that he's a liberal. This is before he got caught, obviously, and all this other information came out. I know Patriot Rob is regretting that bet now.
Let me ask you a question, JB. If he turns out to be a liberal, let's just because right now we're on. You're convinced that he's a conservative. Okay. If he turns out to be a liberal, what does that do for you? What does that do? What does that tell you?
It tells me nothing. It tells me that it tells me
Okay.
it tells me
Wait.
it
You
tells me the
said
same thing. It tells me the same thing as if he's a conservative, but it tells me a lot about conservative influencers. That's what it's going to
wait,
tell me
but
more
no.
about.
You said if he turns out to be a liberal, you said it tells you more about conservative influencers.
No. If he turns out to be a liberal, okay, then um, it is what it is. I mean, he's a wicked person. He's the same as if it was a conservative. Sorry about that. It's the same as if he was a conservative. It's an evil fucking crime. He's an evil person. Okay. The reason is this is the conservative liberal thing is important is because of the conservative uh, influencers putting it out there saying that he was a liberal. That's what I was trying to say. I land.
I think one of the things that happens these days is people say if you have a certain political view, that means everybody with that political view is equally guilty or supports that person, right? So you hear people saying, "Oh, this is what the liberal communists. They all want this. They kill people. This. We have a problem with this. Okay, guilt by association. It's worse than guilt by association. It's just that's what people start to say about every liberal or every conservative when it turns out to be a conservative, right? We got to get away from that. I mean, I really, it's so hateful and
That's
it's so
exactly what I was saying.
I know, but
Yes,
it's
you're right.
so wrong because that's the real. I mean, it's one thing to sort of say, that he's a liberal or a conservative, but at the end of the day, why are they saying it? They're saying it one way or the other so that you can then say all these Democrats are evil and they all support killing people, right? And we hear this every single day on both sides. This is wrong, and I don't know how to get away from it because it literally is what seems to motivate a whole bunch of people. But it's bad.
No, it is, and that's why I was asking. Like, because if he turns out to be a liberal, it's like, okay, do we say oh my God, this was very bad. I don't know. It's just, I feel like we're chasing our tail like a dog does. You know what I'm saying? Just chasing your tail in a circle almost with doing that. And that's kind of what's happening. I mean, it kind of happened with MAGA as well, remember? Because now it's the MAGA people. Now it's MAGA or the people of MAGA. It's the same ordeal. You know what I mean? We now paint people with a brushstroke of liberal, conservative, MAGA, left, right. It's very dangerous. It's very dangerous, and I'm seeing which trajectory it's taking us on. And yeah, in a couple of years, you almost if somebody who represents anything that you support does something, it's almost like you might as well have supported it. That's how people are
Yeah,
starting to look at things in society.
but you got to look at like, and I hate to say it again, it's coming from the right, okay? Because the right likes to control the narrative, and I'll give it to you guys. No one controls the narrative better than the right. You guys start off like Crooked Hillary, Elitist Obama, Sleepy Joe, um, all those things, and you guys, Little Marco, you guys give these names and you make them stick, and you guys, oh, the election was stolen. All those, you guys control the narrative. Yeah, even when it's proven to be false, you guys still go with it. So,
You know, sorry, go ahead.
yeah, no, go.
Mari, if this guy happens to turns out to be a liberal, which is far fetched, then you will look for more motive. You try to understand what is going on beneath the hood here. But if he happens to be what everybody suspects that he is, which is from the right, then it's simple. It becomes blatant why he did what he did. You wouldn't look for much more motive because the motive becomes as axiomatic. It speaks for itself, and it's clear. You understand? So I don't think this is a record science here. I'm done.
No, not at all. I personally, I don't know if he's on the left or right. I'm not going to hang my hat on that. But something you just said there, very dangerous. No, I absolutely know for a fact, even if he turns out to be on the right, you're still going to chase motive. What you said there is very dangerous because if the guy turned out to say he's on the right, and then you say that becomes automatic, oh, we know for a fact why he killed these people because he's a Trump supporter, he's this, that. No, that is where you'll have a problem there. If you just say that, there's no need to chase motive now because he was on the right, he was a conservative. We know why he killed these people. We know where the hate came from. I don't think that's a good play at all. But remember, I'm not hanging my hat on whether he's left or right. I was just saying whatever he turns out to be, the crime that was committed was still a very bad one to have committed. I just think that when we start saying this, that doesn't mean that somebody else who's on the right who absolutely hates the left will go out and do something like this. That's why
I,
I'm bringing that part of the conversation in.
I think that
Well,
if he turns out that, I'm gonna tell you, and I want to tell you, I want you to address this as well. I want both you and Marty, and I want Tara as well, a response. If he turns out to be on the right, can we look at Donald Trump and his pardon of the J6ers for the crimes against the politicians? Okay, there as leading people to believe that to harm a politician or someone for political reason and the pursuit of a political goal is acceptable and not as bad as we once thought it was. That's so. How much? I mean, how much of this can we look at Donald Trump and the pardon of the J6ers as to pretty much making people believe that politicians are fair game if you don't agree with what they're doing.
All right, I'll be quick because I really do got to shake it, right? Super early morning. But this is the J6 pardoning of the people who committed certain crimes. Once again, I absolutely do not agree. All those people should have been pardoned. There's some of them who should 100% still be in jail. Isolated incident from that. I do think that didn't send a great message. But from this right here, I would say, depending on how this is served, now that this guy is caught, depending on how the justice is served on him, that's where your message will come from. Because obviously, there's been a manhunt. He is now caught. He committed a very serious crime. Okay, it comes out that he was on the right. He's conservative. He's pro Trump. Whatever the case. Okay, so what? Now it comes out he's slapped with the book, hard time in prison. Who gives a shit what people say? But now it comes out you do something like this and he's what 2 years in prison or 6 months house arrest or 5 years house arrest or something as light like that. Now maybe we have a conversation that like, hey, what type of message are you sending out here to the American people that if you commit this crime against somebody of that type of power? Which that question, I think, based on how he is now handled, I think we'll be able to really get a clear answer on that portion. But the Trump pardoning thing, even though I don't agree with it, I think that is separate from this because Trump hasn't actually done or I don't think said anything in regards to this case yet. Maybe I missed it in regards to like he's okay or pardoning or some shit like that.
Trump doesn't have to say anything on this. His position alone is you know sometimes also most times action speaks and also omission speaks. All right, as a president, and you see lawmakers being slaughtered politically, it seems, across the country, and you just give out a statement. In this case, he's a white male, and you did not come up and speak and let people hear from you. I don't think Trump would have taken such a quiet acquiescence if this guy happens to be maybe an immigrant, a foreigner that committed this kind of crime. I think he would have seen him on the spotlight trying to make something out of it. But I have seen a pattern whereby if somebody that it seems to be affiliated to him in one shape or the other commits a crime, he tried to exclude himself. He doesn't want to have that spotlight where he will be seen condemning who will otherwise be deemed to be affiliated to him. I don't know if you noticed that. I think his absence, his lack of presence on this issue speaks volume regarding that. Yeah, and Jonathan, to your question, I kind of look at this as local. Yeah, I think this has to. I want to approach it from the local political aspect. If there was some list of federal appointees or federal candidates on his hit list, then I will have something to say. I want to see if the feds will come in and pick it and take up this case. I think it's completely local. If the feds come in and pick the case, then my antennas will rise up in suspicion. But so far, um, I will bet my last dime that this guy is influenced by right views and by right sentiments, whether that to anything to do on the federal stage, I'm not quick to say, but on the local politics, he's against war. He's against the liberal views of the Democratic Party. That's why he has mostly Democrats on his hit list. I don't see him. I did not come across any Republican name that he has there. So yes, if you smell like a dog and walk like one, is certainly is going to be one. I'm done.
Tara, okay, so Drew, Tara, I wasn't. I understand it's local, but Tara, maybe you can understand what I'm trying to say. Um, I'm saying that what I'm speaking is the fact that Trump pardoned the J6ers. That makes it. I believe that makes it looks like that these crimes that the J6ers that these people are created. These crimes that is Tara still here? I don't see her. Tara's gone.
Yeah, I don't see her on the stage anymore. No.
Yeah, what I was saying is him parting the J6ers, where we thought that something like against political violence was a huge no no. It doesn't look like such a no use no no anymore. That's all I was trying to say. That's the point.
Absolutely, absolutely. You know, we dealt with that during the time that those pardon was coming. That this is going to set a very bad precedent. It's going to be enabling, and we know that that has nothing to do with American the national interest. That pardon was directly for Trump to let his supporters know that he has their back just in case. So that will kind of be influential if you look at it, because most people would think that if they do something that will be seen as in support of the policies of their leader, that it will have their back. And that's why I said what I said initially. The fact that he's not coming out, seeing him criticized personally, coming from the president himself, criticizing such a heinous act, shows that, I mean, to a certain extent, that this he identified this crime to be right leaning. He wouldn't want to be in a position. If you notice, you will never caught Donald Trump criticizing anything from the right. Instead, he will say there are both good people on the side. So the fact that he's not criticizing this guy is a continuation of that acquiescence that is also dangerous. That you also can link to the his position on the January 6th incident. Yes, I agree with you on that. I'm done.
Absolutely. All right, guys, the mic's open. Anyone has anything they want to talk about, or we can go ahead and shut it down. Anyone else wants to have anything they want to talk about? I can send it over to
Yeah,
the
bro.
Lead Night crew.
Yeah, bro. I was just gonna say this, man, on behalf of the chat, man. What I realized is there's a disconnect from the people in the chat sometimes, like that want to get on stage and you know, I don't know if there's like a delay or whatever if people raise their hand. But at the end of the day, man, I speak on behalf of people in the chat, man. A lot of people, man, are just tired, bro. Like we're just tired of all of this stuff, bro. We can't do anything about a lot of this stuff, man. Democrats, Republicans, we can get on Clubhouse all day, every day and argue. But I think a lot of people in the chat are just tired, man. We just want solutions. We want solutions to the problems that we have in our personal lives. And so what I started to realize is that a lot of this stuff with Israel and Palestinians, a lot of people don't realize the history of Palestine or how Palestine even got its name. If you go back to King David, uh, the leader of Israel, the king of Israel, he went to war with the Philistines. And the origin story is this, is that the Philistines named Judea Palestine. And so what I think that's happening is that I think that the Palestinians right now are being mislabeled as criminals, as people who are just, terrorists. And so now this new hybrid of Israel is coming up and saying, hey, listen, we need to kill the Palestinians. But there's a lot of Palestinians that are actually really Jews, and they're really like Judeo. They have the origin of Judeo beliefs, and they understand Abraham. And so my thing is that I just, Jonathan, man, listen, bro, I've been listening to you a long time, Jonathan, and I just want you to kind of go into like another realm of just kind of seeing both sides because we can get caught up in Republican and Democrats to the point where we just try to put each other. But there's a history behind all of the hatred and animosity. And so I'm gonna land my plane right now and say that I just I just want all of us to come together and reason with each other on both sides because I believe there might be an independent party, not Republican, not Democrat, there might be somebody that's rising and emerging from the new generation that might be an independent that might lead this country. And I land my plane.
I agree. I agree. Shout out to Spartacus, man, for the rocket shot for the rocket. Once again, shout out to Spartacus for the rocket. Oh wow. Um, Let me just say this right here. I just think that because you brought up Palestine, Israel. I support the Palestinian people. I do. I don't support Hamas, and I think that the Israeli people have a right to defend themselves. And that whole issue with Israel and Hamas, I believe right now, what the people of Gaza is going through they're going through it because of their leaders that they elected, Hamas. And there, October 7th was a peaceful day until it wasn't. So I think we can't get mad at someone for defending themselves. So I do see both sides. If Israel would attack them for no reason at all, I would have rocked with the Palestinians. In fact, I've rocked with the Palestinians for a long time. Okay, but I didn't rock with them at the
But what if you get
7th.
canceled? What if you get canceled, Jonathan? What if you get canceled for rocking with the Palestinian? What if you get canceled, bro? Like it's crazy out here right now.
What do you mean you get canceled for rocking with the
Yeah, like if
Palestinians?
you say free Palestine, you might get canceled, bro. Like right now, where I'm from, they're like, yo, if you say free Palestine, you might get canceled, bro.
A
They might
lot of
try to
people have
come on
said
your
free
head.
Palestine. There's been protests all over this country saying free Palestine. No one got
Exactly.
canceled
And
yet.
you might get canceled. You might get a little bit of pushback.
Well, pushback isn't canceled.
Okay.
I get pushback when I said Israel has the right to defend themselves. I get pushback for that. That's totally different from being canceled.
All right. Well,
You agree?
That's why you got to
I
come
live in
to China.
Florida. I live in
No, that's why
Florida,
you got
so
to
I
come to
don't know.
China.
I don't know. I live in Florida, so
Yeah. Anyone else wants to jump in on this?
Yeah, that's. I was trying to tell him that's the reason why you need to come to China, and you don't have to worry about getting cancelled.
I agree,
oh, come
Susan.
to chatter. Oh, come to chatter. Okay.
Guys, yeah, absolutely, guys. Um, well, it seems like we've been at this for a while, folks, and I want to say this. You know, first of all, anyone else have anything they would like to add to this discussion?
Well, is getting canceled the worst thing in the world? I mean, I don't know. It just sounds like, wow, you'll get canceled.
Where I'm from, if they say free Palestine, you're getting canceled. That's where I'm from.
From what?
Like they kick you out of the whole like
Yeah,
neighborhood,
yeah.
or what do
You
you mean?
know, no, you already blackballed. Like they're like free Palestine. Like where I'm from, bro. Like if you say free Palestine, bro, like your 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 social media voice and impact will be shadow banned. You'll be shadow banned. That's what I mean. Like you'll be muzzled. Let me not say canceled. You'll be muzzled. You'll be in the algorithm as muzzled. You're not gonna be able to
Well,
be have as much reach
I'm just curious, where are you in Florida?
in Florida. Just if you
Right,
wanna,
what part? Like
you can back channel
South
me your
Florida, North
information.
Florida?
North Florida, yeah, North Florida.
Okay, because I'm in North Florida as well, and I speak my mind. I'm in Jacksonville, Florida.
I think
So
what it
I
comes
don't.
down to is you got to speak your
Duval?
mind and find your own audience on stuff. So if you're getting canceled by people that aren't really your audience, if you truly fully believe in your heart on something, speak your truth, and the right people will find you.
But you know what? I think my struggle has been to try to give people the origin story of Palestine and the whole war, and then that's when it gets into religion, and then people just start deviating from that point because we don't realize that it's all about religion, religious beliefs. You know, religious beliefs is the origin of all these conflicts. And so if you don't know the origin of religious beliefs, then you're just talking on the surface level. So no, a lot of people don't want to hear about religious beliefs. You know, they just don't want to hear about the religious beliefs of these cultures. and how they run this country. This country is ran by Jews, Asians, uh, you name it. You know what I'm saying? It's not ran by the people you think it's ran by. So my thing is that it's ran by foreigners. This country, the United States, is actually ran by foreigners. And if you go on Google and look up the income, who makes the most money, you're going to see Asians, you're going to see you're going to see a lot of Indians and different people that make a lot of money in this country. White Caucasian people make a
Are
lot of
foreign
money in this country, but African
Asians
American
are
and Black people, African American and Black people are on the lowest level of income in this country. Land my plane.
Asian people aren't foreigners. I land.
Well, I know that African
I forget
Americans
what
and
your
Black
part we're
I
at,
know
Mo.
that African Americans and Black people are the least, they're the lowest level of income in this country. They make the least amount of money, but they help support because we are consumers, and we are put in the media as being criminals instead of. I've never seen an Asian person in the media except for like one or two times. Like there's a few times where Asian people probably been in the media for doing a crime, but the main people where I'm from that's doing crimes is Black people. And I think that it's so crazy how Black people make the least amount of money, but we're responsible for 90% of the crime on the news. I just think that's a fallacy.
You mean, oh, you said on the news? Okay, I got you. Reporting
Yeah,
90%
yeah,
of the
yeah. Like the media. Yeah. So I'm able to see like how the media is actually old
trade.
message. Is no, what actually is like the medium, because if you think about medium or media, it's just about being able to use witchcraft to create propaganda and being able to control people's minds through media. That's why commercials cost uh you know millions of dollars during the Super Bowl, is because how can I influence a whole lot of people through media? And that's why you get the Super Bowl commercials are now, you know, being like $1 million, because how can we influence the
Be
people
like $4
if
million
we didn't have the
for 30
yeah,
seconds.
if we didn't have the media. Yeah, if we didn't have the media.
It's
The media is very powerful.
absolutely. Good stuff there. Anyone else wants to jump in on this stuff right now? Anyone else have anything? Here's the deal. What's your name, sir? Your name, sir?
That's Patrick.
Well, Patrick, here's the deal, Patrick. Chatter, we're open. Joseph Labasco, thank you. Thank you, Joseph Labasco, for the rocket. Thank you for the rocket. Patrick, we're about to disengage and go strictly chatter. Now, you're able to join us, download Chatter Social and come on over here and experience Chatter Social with us over here. I want to say thank you to everyone on Clubhouse, CH. Guys, I want to say thank you to everyone. We came in tonight, we had some fun. $1,400, approximately $1,400 on Rockets.
Shout out
Yep.
to DTN, man. Shout out to the DTN family for real.
Yeah, $1,400 on Rockets, guys, unheard of. And it's only gonna get bigger and better. Uh, it's only gonna get bigger and better as we grow and we start having hundreds of people and sometimes thousands of people in these rooms. So shout out to DTN. Excited, guys, exciting and excited. So with that being said, CH. I'm going to go ahead and we're going to shut this room down and we're going to go ahead and close out. Mañana, CH, we will be back. Definitely. Because we want to let you guys know what we're doing here. Pretty soon, we're not going to be connected to CH. We're not going to be streaming to CH anymore. We're going to be strictly on Chatter, folks. We're going to be strictly on Chatter. So, with that being said, um, Guys, if you guys want, download the Chatter Social app, either on the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store, and join us. Um, good night, guys, and good luck. Have a good one.